In the spring of 2012, a city employee named Kate Swanson sat down at a desk that wasn't normally hers. The city's longtime comptroller was on vacation. Swanson was covering. She was looking for a routine document when she noticed something she didn't recognize: a bank account in the city's name that she had never seen before. The deposits were large, irregular, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. She flagged it to the mayor. He called the FBI. Within weeks, federal agents had traced that account back 22 years and confirmed that the person responsible for every dollar that flowed through the city of Dixon, Illinois, had been quietly stealing from it since 1990. Dixon, Illinois sits in the Rock River Valley, about 100 miles west of Chicago. It's a small city, population roughly 15,000, known, if it's known at all, as the hometown of Ronald Reagan. Like many small Midwestern cities, Dixon runs on tight margins. Public services funded by a modest tax base. Infrastructure that takes years to fund. The kind of place where $1 million is a significant number. Rita Crundwell had worked for the city since 1983. She held one of the most trusted positions in local government: comptroller and city treasurer. She was responsible for managing all of Dixon's finances, collecting revenues, authorizing payments, reconciling accounts, preparing the financial reports reviewed by the city council. She knew every number, every account, every vendor relationship. Outside of Dixon, Crundwell had a separate identity. In quarter horse circles, she was one of the most decorated breeders in the country. She had won multiple titles at the American Quarter Horse Association World Championship Show, a major national competition. Her farm outside of town was a large, professionally run operation. She traveled regularly to competitions across the country. To people in Dixon, the assumption was that her equestrian success came from family money, private savings, or some outside investment. According to federal prosecutors, it came from the city's own treasury. According to the federal indictment filed in May 2012, the scheme began around 1990. Crundwell opened a bank account at a local branch, a branch that also held the city's legitimate accounts, and named it the Reserve Sewer Capital Development Account, or RSCDA. The name was designed to sound official. A municipal-sounding name, a plausible purpose, and a bank that already had a relationship with the city. Court records confirm that no city official had authorized the account. No city council resolution created it. The city had no knowledge it existed. The mechanics worked because Crundwell was the only person who needed to know about them. She prepared payment authorizations for the city's outgoing funds. She reconciled those payments against the city's books. Controlling both steps meant she could authorize transfers into the RSCDA and then record something different on the city's official ledger. Prosecutors allege she created fictitious invoices and falsified entries to make the outflows appear to be routine capital expenditures. The money moved from the RSCDA into her personal accounts. Court records and DOJ sentencing documents itemized what it paid for. The centerpiece was her horse operation, more than 400 quarter horses at its peak, with all the costs of a nationally competitive breeding and show program. Feed, veterinary care, training, transport, stabling, and competition entry fees. Beyond the horses, a custom-built motor coach valued in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, a luxury recreational vehicle, farm equipment, jewelry, home improvements, and personal credit card bills. The lifestyle of someone with private wealth, funded entirely by a city that kept wondering why it couldn't make its numbers work. The total stolen over 22 years confirmed in court records: $53.7 million. For context, Dixon's annual operating budget during this period was typically $6 to $8 million. That means Crundwell stole, in total, the equivalent of roughly 7 full years of the city's budget. For years, Dixon deferred infrastructure projects. Street maintenance fell behind. Equipment replacements were pushed back. The city sought state financial assistance multiple times. City council members sat in public meetings and debated budget cuts, trying to understand a persistent shortfall that had no obvious explanation. No one asked the comptroller the right question. The question that follows every case like this is the same: how did no one catch it? In Dixon's case, the answer is documented clearly in the forensic and academic literature that followed the conviction. Municipal accounting depends on a principle called segregation of duties. The idea is that the person authorizing a payment should not be the same person recording it, and someone independent of both should periodically verify that what's recorded matches what actually happened. In Dixon, Crundwell held all three functions simultaneously. She authorized transfers, she reconciled accounts, and she was the primary source of the financial information that the City Council reviewed. There was no independent check on any of it. The city did have annual audits by an outside firm, but those audits worked from documents and account listings that Crundwell provided. The RSCDA was not on the city's official account list because Crundwell had never disclosed it. The auditors were reviewing a version of Dixon's finances that had the fraud pre-built into it. A 2015 peer-reviewed paper in the Journal of Forensic and Investigative Accounting examined the Dixon case in detail, analyzing how the absence of independent oversight allowed the fraud to persist for more than 2 decades. That paper became a reference in municipal finance reform discussions and is used in fraud examination coursework. After the conviction, Dixon filed a civil lawsuit against its outside audit firm, arguing the fraud should have been detected through proper procedures. That litigation resulted in a settlement, the terms of which were not made public. In early 2012, Crundwell took an extended personal leave. City Clerk Kathy Swanson agreed to cover her responsibilities temporarily. Swanson was not a forensic accountant. She wasn't investigating anything. She was trying to locate a routine document when she came across the RSCDA, an account she had never seen, in the city's name, with deposits in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. There was no invoice, no city authorization that explained it. She brought it to the mayor. The mayor called the FBI. The Chicago field office opened an investigation. Agents subpoenaed bank records. What they found was a paper trail. Transfers from the city's operating accounts into the RSCDA, then out to Crundwell's personal accounts, running consistently since 1990. On April 17, 2012, Rita Crundwell was arrested at Dixon City Hall. She had worked there for nearly 30 years. Crundwell pleaded guilty in November 2012 to 1 count of wire fraud and additionally admitted to money laundering in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. At sentencing in February 2013, the court heard from Dixon residents and city officials about the impact on the community. The judge sentenced Crundwell to 19 years and 7 months in federal prison, nearly the statutory maximum, and ordered restitution of $53.7 million. The asset seizure was immediate. Federal authorities auctioned more than 400 quarter horses in what became one of the largest horse auctions in U.S. history. Vehicles, the motor coach, farm equipment, and personal property were also liquidated. In total, the city recovered approximately $40 million, meaning roughly $13 million remained permanently unrecovered. For a city of 15,000, that is not a rounding error. For Dixon's residents, the damage extended beyond the balance sheet. Years of budget cuts, deferred maintenance, and public belt tightening that had been blamed on economic conditions were retroactively explained as the result of deliberate theft. The city's financial officer, the person they had trusted with their public money, had been taking it for over 2 decades. In December 2024, President Biden commuted Crundwell's sentence. Dixon city officials publicly condemned the decision. The restitution obligation remains. In 2018, Kathy Swanson received the Sentinel Award from the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, one of the organization's highest recognitions for individuals who report fraud. She had been filling in for 1 week. She found a document no one had looked for. The fraud had been running for 22 years. The case is now a standard teaching example in municipal finance, internal audit, and fraud examination programs. Dixon has since implemented the controls that should have been in place all along: independent review of accounts, segregation of financial duties, outside verification. The RSCDA is closed. In small cities across the country, financial control is concentrated in a small number of people, sometimes one, because the budget doesn't allow for more. The controls are expensive. The oversight takes time. And most of the time, the person holding the keys is honest.